He was sent to conquer North Africa. He was defeated. He retreated to Egypt in disgrace. His career should have been over. He came back. He won. He founded a city that still stands today. His name was Hassan ibn al-Numan al-Ghassani. In the late 680s CE, the Umayyad Caliph Abd al-Malik appointed him as the commander of the Arab forces in North Africa, with a mission: complete the conquest of the Maghreb, the western reaches of the old Roman Empire, and secure the region for the Caliphate. What waited for him there was not a weakened or divided enemy. What waited for him was Al-Kahina. Al-Kahina, whose real name was Diya or Damya, was a Berber warrior queen and prophetess who commanded the fierce resistance of the indigenous North African tribes against the Arab advance. She was described by Arab historians themselves as a woman of extraordinary military intelligence, personal courage, and charismatic authority over her people. Hassan ibn al-Numan met her in battle at a place known as the Battle of the Camel's Back in what is now Tunisia. Al-Kahina's forces routed his army so completely that Hassan was forced to retreat all the way to Barca in Cyrenaica, effectively out of North Africa. He stayed there for 5 years. And then he came back. The story of what happened between the defeat and the return, and what it reveals about resilience, strategy, and the long game of those who refuse to accept a final verdict, is what this video is about. Hassan ibn al-Numan did not retreat immediately after the battle. The historical accounts suggest he spent time in the immediate aftermath trying to understand what had happened. Al-Kahina had anticipated his tactics. She had used the terrain against him. She had deployed the tribal alliance she had built across years against an Arab force that had arrived expecting a fragmented, demoralized enemy. Hassan had arrived with the wrong intelligence about what he was facing. Not the wrong military tactics, the wrong foundational understanding of the situation. This is one of the most common causes of catastrophe. 5 years. Hassan spent approximately 5 years in Barca and Egypt before returning to North Africa. The historical record is not detailed about what he did in those 5 years, but we can infer from what he brought back with him: reinforcements, revised intelligence about the Berber tribal structure, and a fundamentally different approach to the campaign. When he returned, he did not simply bring more soldiers. He brought a changed strategy. He understood now that Al-Kahina's strength was the unified Berber tribal alliance. He understood that the alliance was built on a specific relationship between the tribes and their land. He approached the campaign differently, with more attention to the political and social dynamics that determined the military outcome. This is the hidden work of the comeback. The years that look like nothing from the outside. The period that looks like defeat or stagnation to observers who measure progress by visible movement. Ibrahim ibn Adham, the Sufi master we touched on in the Zood video, spoke of the period of preparation as the time when the roots go down before anything is visible above ground. The tree that grows fastest without deep roots falls in the first serious storm. The tree that spends years putting roots down before growing tall is the one that survives. Hassan ibn al-Numan spent 5 years putting roots down. The observers in Egypt probably considered him finished. He was preparing. When Hassan returned, the final campaign against Al-Kahina was not a simple military victory over a weakened enemy. The historical accounts of what happened are complex and debated. What the Arab historians recorded is that Al-Kahina, seeing the Arab forces return in greater strength and with changed tactics, made a decision that has been interpreted in many ways. She began a scorched earth policy, destroying the agricultural resources of the region to deny them to the Arab forces.
This strategy ultimately undermined the support of the very tribes she was protecting, who depended on those resources. Hassan ibn al-Numan was able to exploit the fracturing of her alliance. Al-Kahina died in the final battle. She died fighting. Her sons, according to some historical accounts, had already gone over to Hassan's side, reportedly at her own instruction. What happened between Al-Kahina and Hassan ibn al-Numan is one of the most extraordinary encounters in medieval history. Two remarkable people on opposite sides of a historical transformation, each doing what they understood their people required. Hassan ibn al-Numan honored Al-Kahina's sons and incorporated them into his command structure. His approach to the defeated Berber population was, by the accounts that survive, unusually careful and respectful. He understood that the conquest of a territory is not the same as the pacification of its people, and that the latter required something the former could not provide.
After the military campaign, Hassan ibn al-Numan did something that distinguished him from most military commanders of his era. He built. He founded the city of Tunis as the administrative capital of the new Arab province of Ifriqiya. He built the first Arab naval shipyard in the western Mediterranean at Tunis, a decision that would shape the naval history of the region for centuries. He was not only a military commander, he was, in the fullest sense, a builder of civilization. The defeat and exile were not interruptions to his work. They were, as it turned out, preparation for the work that mattered most. The city he founded in the late 690 CE still stands. It is the capital of Tunisia. 1,300 years later, the work remains.
3 principles from Hassan ibn al-Numan's defeat and return that apply to every comeback you will face. The first, understand the defeat accurately before you move from it. Not the version that protects your ego, the version that tells you what actually happened and why. The general who left North Africa without understanding what Al-Kahina had done would have returned and lost again for the same reasons. The second, use the time of apparent failure as preparation, not just recovery. Recovery is passive, resting until the pain subsides. Preparation is active, building the resources, understanding, and strategy that the first attempt lacked. The 5 years in Egypt were not years of waiting. They were years of work. The third, the final thing you build matters more than the battles that led to it. Hassan ibn al-Numan is defeated, retreated, 5 years in apparent obscurity, then returned, adapted, completed the campaign, and founded a city that still exists 1,300 years later. Hassan ibn al-Numan is one of the great comeback stories in Arab military history, and because almost nobody in the English-speaking world knows his name, his story has been waiting, carrying its lessons intact for the person ready to hear them. You have been defeated. You are in the 5 years in Egypt right now, or you have been. The question is not whether you lost. The question is what you are building with the time that the loss gave you. Subscribe to Desert Mind. This channel exists to tell you the stories history forgot to teach.